This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1076, and this is the Relevant Podcast. Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, our very own downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And just down the road in Nashville, in his studio, tired from mixing and mastering. So tired that he's not even showing his face. He is wearing a ski mask. Artist, producer, mogul, Derek Miner.
Hello.
Everything okay?
No. No, it's not.
Let's
it's not
hear
okay.
it. Let's vent here, man.
This is a safe space.
Yeah, please vent.
If I have to hear these daggum songs one more time, like
So you did the pontoon mix after hearing the album on the pontoon speakers. You're like, I got to dial in some things.
Yep.
Is that still what you're working on?
it's not just a pontoon boat. So here's the thing. I listened to a song 1,117 times. So when you first hear it, you like it. So by the time you like it, I now hate it. And that's how this goes. That's how this goes.
And then you got to go perform it for the next year.
Yeah, that's how this goes.
You could do
this is it.
You could do like Kanye did with Pablo and just constantly work on it even after it's released.
Yeah. Release it and then just keep tweaking it for the pontoons.
See, here's the thing. I'm not Kanye. So Apple's going to be like, bruh, look, dog, look. You said one more edit.
Quit tinkering.
We're taking the whole thing down right now. So.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to push it.
Just right now, I'm just going to put my little ski mask on.
But see, this is what's crazy is you produced 8 of the 10 tracks, right?
Yes.
And you're mixing it and stuff like that. That's unusual. This is where your talent is getting in your own way because most artists leave it to other people to listen 1,000 times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You've got to do it. You've got to do every step, man. But it's pretty amazing what you created. So,
but when it wins a Grammy, it's going to be
that's what
worth
I'm
it.
saying. Yeah.
I'm gonna be like Beck. Remember Beck won that Grammy? I forgot who he won that Grammy over. Everybody was pissed.
Wasn't it Beyonce? I think it was Beyonce.
I think it was Beyonce. Everybody was like, yo, what in the world? Who is Beck? Like, that's the first thing that came to everybody's mind. Because it was the Lemonade album, I believe, is what he beat.
No, I think it was her self-titled.
Oh, okay.
Because I think Adele won over Lemonade, and in Adele's speech, she was like, "I should not be on this stage."
Right.
Like,
that's right.
Beyonce,
that's right.
you should be up here.
Yeah, but
she
Beck
was right
had
to say that.
Yeah, Beck had played every instrument or whatever. He had it was literally his album. So I don't know, man. Like at this point, I might just I don't know. I might just
just release it.
I don't know,
be
man.
Like, here it is.
I might just delete the whole thing and just be like, you know what? Hey, it was cool. Like
this thing I spent years of my life on.
It's like that one Wu-Tang album that had one copy that the tech bro guy bought. That's it. We heard it on the pontoon boat, and then it's gone forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. You heard it on the pontoon boat. It was great. It was a phenomenal ride.
It was a moment.
That's it.
Okay, so here's this is the real question, Derek, because the old adage, you don't want good to be the enemy or perfect to be the enemy of good, right? Like, creatively, most of the projects I've ever been involved in had like a really like fixed deadline, and at some point, good enough had to be good enough, right? Like it wasn't, creatively. Myself or any member of the team I was working on with whatever project was probably could have spent more time with it. But at some point it was like, look, it's going to print or it's got to go up or, the feed has to be updated or whatever, it is. With the album, is it possible for you to get to that point where it's like, you know what I'm going to roll with what I got?
Well, I have to because in order to do that, I had to set up my album to be like, I need a certain amount of pre-saves to come out. And I was like, all right, if I get 1,000 pre-saves, then I'm going to push the button and get it out. Well, so far I'm at like 800. So I'm like, all right, we're looking in the next couple days. I'm gonna have to turn this thing in. Once I turn it in, we're done. So
no pressure.
No, it's a lot of pressure, Jesse, Carrie. It's a lot of pressure. I am literally I've been tweaking on a snare for like an hour. And a snare and a vocal for an hour, because there's like a frequency in the snare and the vocal that's in the way, and I'm just kind of tweaking it out. But here's the crazy part about it. This is what I tell my wife. Most people will say, hey, just release it. It doesn't matter. And people 9 times out of 10 cannot tell you what's wrong with it. They'll just say, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going in right now and doing the detail work that will prevent you from saying something's wrong or something's off with this. Most of the time, people can't say why. They'll be, if they like something, it's like no news is good news, right? It's like, oh yeah, we press play, this is fire. But you don't want to put out an album and then everybody's like, man, this sounds real scratchy, or when I turn it up, the bass feels this way. So that's what I'm doing now. It's just the detail work of putting everything back in place. This mask will get hot.
When they rev up the pontoon engine, the bass.
But Derek, you risk falling. It's like what's the old Oscar Wilde thing? I spent half the day putting it in a comma, and I spent the other half of the day taking it out. Like at some point, the artist, the creative, the writer, whoever gets in their own head. You know what I mean?
When you walk around Disney World and they have like a construction fence or they're updating something or whatever, they put like inspirational Walt Disney quotes on it. And my favorite one is, everyone needs a deadline. That's literally on there, like when they're creating and innovating and whatever, everyone needs a deadline, Walt Disney. And it is so important because of that. Creatives will tweak forever. If you don't have a deadline, which is going to push you to innovate, get the price down, get it up, whatever it is, you're going to have barriers you got to hit, or milestones you got to hit, or else you'll just tweak forever. Another quote he said was like, without deadlines, we would be stagnant. Yeah. And it's like, that's true, because you just stay in that place of just like tweaking.
Facts. My favorite quote is, albums are not finished, they're released. And, I was telling a partner, Kanye
didn't believe in that.
No, he didn't.
I guess he does believe that.
But I was telling a friend, like, this album would have been so much easier if it was just another sync album, like a song for like sports or TV and film. But I think because the music is so personal, like if it wasn't so personal, I'd have been done 2 months ago, because you just don't make a decision about it. You just think. But the irony of it is, you kind of want to be in that zone. So I know I'm at the place where when the tweaks don't help, that's when it's you're done. There's nothing else.
Do you have anybody? Because like every writer needs an editor, every artist needs a producer. You need those fresh eyes to say this is good, move forward, or hone in on this. You are your own producer. You are. Do you have anybody else in the process that it kind of gives you the guardrails to say yes, green light, you're done, like stop messing with it, or is it just up to you?
I got a couple people that's already been like, look, bro, this thing is done. And then, but I think I'm gonna send it to a mastering engineer, because mastering has never been my strong suit. So I think I'm gonna send it to a mastering engineer and just be done with it. I think that's probably the best bet.
My favorite quote for creatives is Hemingway said when they asked him about his, he's a famous drunk. He said, "Write drunk, edit sober." And that's kind of the half. Like he writes because he's loose and he's like free thoughts, and the next morning he's sober and he's going to edit himself.
And he's edited everything. Wow,
2 mindsets: write drunk, edit sober. Crazy. But that's the way he did the 2 mindset thing.
Yeah, but even if you don't take that, take it more figuratively, it is like there's no such thing as a bad first draft. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's the other thing.
Throw it out there.
It is,
but then come back with fresh eyes.
Some pretty bad.
Well, but I'm saying like the mindset has to be like that. Like you got to keep pushing through, because otherwise you'll never finish the first draft.
But then come back with fresh eyes and see it differently, whether it's time lapsed or you sobered up, whatever it was, and you can see it from a different perspective. Yeah,
I actually think I'm gonna take the rest of the day off and just, I don't know, go to the park. Go to
walk away
Priest.
from it. Yeah. I loved how when we were in Montana, you kept like posting to social, like go outside. Like go outside. That's what you need right now. Take good advice.
Exactly.
All right, man. Well, we have a great show in store for you. Coming up later, we talk to artist Andy Grammer, huge pop artist. You guys know his music. He joins us. He has a new album coming out. And at the end, we have your feedback, the youth group names. I'm looking forward to that. But right now, stay tuned. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz.
Scrolling through life, I barely recognize from my hotel room. Took in the lonely view, got unattached. Ringer with the camera, arms wrapped around when the fever took. Thought I was gone for good, you brought me back. I've been thinking, baby, you're right. When you said the pain with us intact, we just waiting for a change to follow. We don't always get all that we want. Redefine the pain to something more. We shall overcome as we've done before.
You're listening to Nothing But Thieves. The song is Overcome. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
The first thing I want to talk about is, we talk a lot about Fast and Furious on this podcast. Some of us are big fans. Some of us.
Fast and Furious 1 through 6. I'm a purist. 1 through 6 and 1 through 6 only. 7 through 11 is a travesty.
I feel like we talk about it more than the average human.
Okay.
I feel like the amount of times it's been brought up is interesting.
Yeah, most conversations in my personal life have to do with either Vin Diesel directly or the Fast and Furious franchise. So, point stands.
Anyway.
Well, we're continuing that conversation. The latest Fast movie, Fast X, is out right now. And so a lot of the stars are doing promo, including Tyrese Gibson. And the reason we're bringing it up is because he was on a podcast recently and he kind of didn't promote the movie. He actually took a time to give a really interesting warning to Christians about how the world is trying to normalize the devil. We have the clip now, actually. We're going to play it.
I thought you were going to say a warning to Christians about the new Fast and Furious movie, but all right.
Yeah.
Warning to
Probably
Christians
too.
and pretty much people of all faiths or no faiths. It's a stinker. We really phoned this one in.
It's just a cash grab, everyone. It's just a cash grab.
We don't know. We don't even know what Jason Momoa is doing in this thing. It's like he's in a different movie. It's like he's in a Simpsons episode. He's a Simpsons villain. Yeah.
All right, here's the clip.
God will send you all of the desires of your heart. And that is something that I want everybody who can hear this interview to know. As much as I'm supposed to be promoting this movie and talking about my album, I just feel like we're in competition right now because they are trying to normalize the devil. They are trying to the devil is on the main stage at award shows and in every video and signs and symbols. And I said, you know what? We need to stop treating our relationship with Jesus like the little buddy that you talk to before you go to bed at night and not be more vocal about all the things that God means to us and all of the things that God has brought us through. Because there's been a lot of moments that you didn't post about. But yet how did God decide to get me through this?
Yeah, man.
And they going above and beyond to promote the devil. And it's pissing me off because they used to devil worshippers used to be real secretive, going down in the basement, this secret world. Now they just
they on the device too.
Yeah,
Believe that.
Interesting. Now, Emily, I didn't
that's
see the
wild.
video of that. What podcast was that, or what show was that?
That was
Devil Talk.
Devil Talk with Tyrese. It's new limited series. And question:
Slow enough, yeah.
did he have his shirt on for the interview? That's what I want to know.
he did have his shirt on.
okay.
Is that a thing that he normally doesn't?
All of his '90s R&B album covers, he was shirtless.
No shirt.
He was famously him and
He didn't
D'Angelo.
own a shirt.
I don't know if he didn't
Oh, he
own one.
owned several shirts. He just didn't wear them because he looked like black Spartan.
Yeah, to be fair, he looked fantastic. So did D'Angelo.
So did D'Angelo. Disturbingly fantastic. All right. So double on the main stage. Tyrese Gibson warning everybody.
I hear what he's saying, but I do think
Is he talking about
sometimes-
like that Lil Nas X Grammy performance when he's all, or SNL
think
performance
so.
and all that?
yeah, because I mean, some of this is not literal. It's not the devil or Satanism in a literal perspective. It's artistic license. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying that's good or I'm not really making a statement about it, but I do think there's some distinction between like actual like occult witchcraft stuff and people using what we perceive what like an artistic representation of what we perceive as like the devil or good and evil as as commentary. I do think there's some distinction to be made, but I think the point stands. I also think anytime that someone in pop culture uses religious imagery or imagery that stems from a religious source, it also provides an opportunity to kind of engage about faith and topics about faith. Like I said, I do see the point that he's making, but I also think there is some opportunity to address it in a way that's thoughtful and not just, out of pearl clutching,
Yeah. The boogeyman's coming for us.
Yeah.
All right. What else do you have, Emily?
The next thing is actually another clip, sort of in a completely different vein, but
Two
we
clips?
saw this week.
You're like a substitute teacher just playing a movie for class.
I like it.
And those were honestly the best days.
Those were
Let's
the
not
best.
lie.
I like
those
it.
were the best days of school ever.
I like it. Put the
You
projector
see
up there.
the cart getting wheeled in? It's like, yes.
Let's go.
One
Let's
time
fire-
we
yeah.
tricked our sub into letting us watch Mulan in like a geography class because we convinced the sub that like we were supposed to watch it because a kid had brought the movie just in the
Gotcha.
hopes that we could convince him. And it worked. Our
Gotcha.
teacher was so mad at us afterwards, but it was a great day for high school Emily. So, no, okay. Our second clip, we saw this earlier this week, and we just thought it was really funny and interesting. Ira Glass, who's the host of This American Life, made this whole radio show telling these beautiful stories. But in a conversation with comedian Mike Birbiglia, Glass shared how he actually found out he did not come up with his storytelling technique. He had a little bit of unknown inspiration.
He thought that he invented the 3-act storytelling structure, which is
No, you didn't.
Yeah. He says on this clip, here, take it away. He literally says self-deprecatingly, I literally thought I invented this way of telling stories. And then he found out he's just been ripping off Jesus all along. Play the clip.
Sometimes I tell this thing I'm about to tell you. Sometimes I tell this on stage, but it's a true story. And like years ago, when I was married to Anahid, we lived across the street from this seminary on the west side. And every night I would take out our dog, and there was this guy named Joe Durbis, who was a seminarian. And you see people every day, and you're like, he had a dog, I had a dog, and you're talking, and like, what do you do? What do you do? And like at some point, I was like, well, I kind of invented this way to do a radio show, like where. And it's like this, it's like these stories, and they're kind of funny, but they're also like have feeling. And like basically the structure is like there's plot and then an idea and then plot and an idea and plot and idea. And he's like, oh yeah, that's what they teach us in there, in the seminary.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's every That's every sermon
Every
ever written.
sermon.
And I was like, no, it's not. He's like, basically, if you think about a sermon, like you start with something that was in the news or in the congregation that week, and then you say, here's the meaning, you tell the story of that, and then here's what this means. And then you go to some story from the Bible that relates to it, and you tell that story. And then you say, here's the lesson of that one. You go to, it's basically like story, idea, story, idea, story, idea. And I was like, and I really was really cool to her. So I was like, no, I invented this. Like, and he's like, no. He actually at one point said, like, if you look at Jesus's sermons in the Bible, if you look at Jesus' sermons in the Bible, that's the structure of his sermons.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to the New Testament and sure enough, like when Jesus tells a story, like the parable of the prodigal son, it's a little plot. And then he actually totally spells out, now here's the meaning of this story, and which means that I accidentally invented something that was like old at the time of Jesus. Because I don't know about you, I don't think of Jesus as like a structure guy. I think of him as more of a content guy.
So,
All right.
Ira
Yeah,
Glass.
I don't know what to do with that one.
I know, right? Like, how did you think that you invented a 3-part story? Like, I don't understand why he literally thought that, but whatever. Apparently, Jesus beat him to it.
Yeah, well, we've had the privilege of talking to him a couple times, and he has a.
You have,
yeah,
Jesus.
well, every day. No, Ira Glass, and I'm sure people can find some of those conversations in the archives. But he's a really thoughtful guy, especially when it comes to matters of faith. Even though he's not a person who practices faith himself, he has a lot of admiration for faith communities, people of faith, and in this case, the means at which faith spreads, which in the case of Christianity, a lot of times is storytelling in parables. So yeah, interesting take there from old Ira.
Oh, Ira.
I just love that he like doubled down on like, no, this is my storytelling. Like I did this, and it's like this. Let's just think about this. Like,
Yeah.
you really think you came up with this? Anyways, glad that he was humble enough to admit the error of his ways.
Listen. If Jesus didn't invent it, I would have. I'm not trying to put myself in. I'm being humble here. It's what I'm doing.
Yeah. It goes Jesus, then me. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
His words, not mine.
All right. What's the last thing you have, Emily?
The last thing is a interesting study from Pew Research that looked at just kind of the evolving relationship between technology and faith, particularly among young adults. With the pandemic, the rise of online church really happened. And I think a lot of people thought it would either be here to stay and like completely take over, or it would fade away. And it kind of seems like it's just in this middle area. So about 48% of U.S. adults ages 18 to 39 still regularly engage in religious services online or like watching television. A lot of people are doing more of like a hybrid model where they'll go to church in person sometimes, or they'll stay in their pajamas and watch on Sunday mornings from the comfort of their couch or doing other things. But it's interesting that, all these years later, or these few years out of the pandemic, and we're still kind of figuring out like how does technology and church interact with one another.
I saw this too, and like I think having done substantial amounts of online church as well as in person, and just speaking to the Ira Glass thing, I sometimes I get more out of a sermon that I'm watching or listening to than one that I'm sitting in person. Like
Really?
the worship experience, it obviously is different. Like I think there's something to corporately, that corporate exercise. But a lot of times when I'm sitting in like a service, like and someone is like preaching, like I said, a lot of times I absorb it better when I'm in the comfort of my own home and not kind of thinking about 1,000 things around me, or what time, what time we're going to lunch, or sometimes not even that comfortable to kind of sit in those chairs for that period of time. Like, you know what I mean? Like I think there's validity to experiencing the message and the sermon kind of however you want. Like I don't necessarily, because it's not a communal experience. It's not like I'm chit chatting with the person next to me during the sermon. I might as well. Why does that need to be the communal thing when like I do see, like I said, reasons for like ministry or worship, but for the actual sermon itself, sometimes it's like, yeah, I kind of get the point. Like I sometimes absorb it better when I'm not, sitting in a room with a bunch of people,
You're saying almost like a podcast, right? Like in the sense that if you're watching a sermon, it almost feels like a podcast. But I think that also goes into what I would say my biggest pushback with modern church in general is what are we offering besides a concert and a podcast? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the church? And when you look at the biblical church, it was often a real community. I think sometimes we've been on this push to make things so big and explosive and to keep everybody's attention that the community element is lost. So then now what's happened is you can say, okay, well, if the main point for me is to go listen to worship and to hear a sermon, well, I can rather than listen to 4 people that are kind of okay at singing, I could put on, you know what I'm saying, top quality music, and then I could listen to the sermon like a podcast. And if that's all the church has to offer, it's going to be hard to draw people back. I think that the community aspect of the church is what needs to be rehabbed and worked on right now. Mm-hmm. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the numbers were shockingly high. I mean, as far as like, I thought you said 48% of young adults are doing virtual church. It baffles me. But one thing that study that our article highlighted was that 32% of those people said that they're watching or listening passively. They're not like actively paying attention to the sermon. They're cleaning the kitchen or they're doing something else. That's interesting to me because it's like, if you were at church, you wouldn't be listening passively. Well, I guess Jesse would because he's thinking about lunch. But I mean, I'm curious to see if like the sermons evolve or whatever, because if 70% of the listeners aren't really paying attention, I don't know. It's just gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Just get AI to do it like they did in Sweden, I think. Just get AI to do it. They'll generate a black man. He'll hoop for you. You know what I'm saying? I think they literally generated like a black guy. They said the sermon was pretty dope.
But Cameron, to your point though, I don't know if conflating passive listening with not paying attention, right? Like, so you're like, I was listening to some like psychologists are saying that some people actually absorb stuff better when their body's moving. Like, there are some people it's better to have a walk and talk with because they're going to absorb more from the conversation. Like, I know if I'm driving and listening to something, I absorb it 1,000 times better than if I'm sitting in a room watching something. If I'm sitting in a room watching something, like the part of my mind that needs to be like in movement or kind of doing things gets overrun with like additional thoughts. But if I'm like on a walk or riding my bike or doing dishes with, I absorb stuff way better. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like when it comes to absorbing a message, I don't necessarily think that has to be a corporate experience. I think other parts of ministry, certainly. But that aspect, I get it. You know what I mean? I get that, some people prefer to absorb it the way that they absorb it best,
So the perfect church is you show up for the potluck, but then you go home and you listen to the sermon on your own. You hang out with the people and then you go home for the service.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Why not?
There you go. All right. Well, for more stories like that, make sure to check relevantmagazine.com every weekday, where we're covering the intersection of faith, culture, life, justice, all of it. Thanks, Emily. All right, stay tuned. Up next, Andy Grammer joins us.
Help me like you started to feel dead. That was when you kissed. Ninth grade, I picked you up before the first date. You were allergic to your entree. You couldn't do pasta, and the movie was awful. I said, let me get a redo anywhere you wanna go, and you can pick it. I can meet you like, what's the worst thing that happened next evening? A tire burst, the fireworks in the theater, the higher ups to tell you what you can't eat, where you can't go, how to dress, how to act decent. I've seen you fall to pieces, seen you completely naked. There's no more ways you can surprise me since you looked at me dead.
You're listening to Dominic Fike. The song is Ant Pile. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Well, our guest today is Andy Grammer. He's a pop singer-songwriter who's got hits like Honey, I'm Good and Keep Your Head Up. He spoke with Emily about his upcoming album, Love is the New Money, and why he wants to spread more love and positivity into the world these days. Here's our conversation with Andy Grammer.
What is it that makes this like project so special for you?
I think that it is an album where I actually, I'm coming up on 40. And so there's just stuff that you have to deal with when you get to that age.
Yeah.
And this is I think that I viewed myself a certain way. And throughout the process of writing this album, I was able to actually view myself differently, So the title of the album is Behind My Smile. And I think that if you asked me 3 years ago or 2 years ago, to describe myself, I would give you a pretty simple answer. I'm like a happy guy,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good things, been really blessed, lucky. Sure, I've had some difficulties, but we pushed through it. And I'm going to show you most of my good side. And then if you're lucky, life will throw you through the washing machine hard enough to where you have to get a little more realistic. Not realistic, just a little more accepting and have a broader understanding of who you are. There's lots of pieces to who you are. Mm-hmm. And so through the process of the last couple of years, been in therapy, really owning just the wide spectrum of what I can be, as opposed to just carrying the happy flag.
You mentioned you've been in therapy. I'm just curious, is there anything that you've learned in therapy that you could share that's just been really encouraging to you as you've been wrestling with these different emotions and thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny. I like to go after and write songs about things that on their surface seem trite, and then dig in and try to get into them in a way that kind of hopefully expands it a little bit. So the idea of self-love is something that I was not expecting to have be a cornerstone of this record. I did not see that coming at all. But one of my favorite songs on the record is called Joy. And if you want joy, I don't know how you get there without self-love. And then there was a lot of therapy around oh man, you got some work to do with yourself alone. Mm. You do pretty well in groups, especially groups of thousands of people. But when you are alone, either in the pandemic or alone in your hotel room after, or you got some real work to do. And so what showed up pretty hard for me was self-love is the area that I need to take seriously. And it's just, I don't know why, whether it's I'm a dude or whether it just, you hear self-love and immediately go yeah, okay, sure. For me at least. Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of sat in front of me and said, you cannot look away from this. This is something that you need to deal with. And that's been some weird, hard, amazing work.
Yeah. Yeah, there is something about self-love that's it can be weird, but it's ultimately good, so it's always good to like dig into that.
I don't know why it sounds like flimsy or like over dramatic or something. Like self-love feels like, okay, you don't you don't love yourself, and the deeper you dig into it, the more it's like, oh, this is some real stuff here that we got to go through. So I'm grateful for it. Yeah.
But you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. You gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let your head down, hey. I know it's hard. No,
It's interesting talking about like this need for love in our lives and in the world, and we're both aware the world has not been necessarily full of love these last few years.
Sure.
And so but you also are an optimistic person. So I'm just curious, like when I look at the world, I see that there's like a need for love. Do you feel that way too? Or do you see it differently than I do?
No, I think we're at a spot where it's harder to find spaces to just connect with each other and share love than maybe it's been in the past. I think that we are really siloed in algorithms, and we are in our devices, and over the aggregate, when you add all that up, there's less connection occurring at the moment. And then it's like, you're getting some from your phone and it feels something, but like we do a basic thing before we go on stage on my tours where we put one of the band members in a chair. There's 7 of us. And everyone has to just, for a minute, say what they love about this person, right? Everyone cries. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So what that says to me is like, wait, why does everyone cry? You are overwhelmed with the feeling of just telling someone else what you love about them. And creating a small little 10-minute space for that to happen means that there is an undercurrent, there is a river of love that is happening under all of us, and we just need a little more space to share it. And there's, however we're all set up in society right now, it's not as easy as it should be. I like the best day of my year, I made this music video for Love Is the New Money, and I just took a film crew around, didn't do anything crazy, just went up to the average person in my life and spent a minute telling them why I love them. And like, you go to your dentist and you say like, you're always so sweet. Like, thank you so much for being who you are. You fix my teeth because I like crack it all the time when I'm jumping around on stage. Go to the barista, my favorite coffee shop, and say like, you're such a good vibe. Like every time I come in here, and I want to tell you that. Go to my age, go to all these people, and it seems simple, but then everyone cries. So there's something going on here that is powerful that we are not giving enough attention to. And so, my real mission currently is to figure out how to create more and more of those spaces. And when I go on tour, I want to try to do that as well. Is to create spaces where we can, I don't know, there's a block here. There's a river that isn't able to like get out. And I'm not saying I have the answer. I just think, I had a really interesting talk with the Surgeon General of the United States. His name's Vivek Murthy. And we talked for about an hour, and he came into the Surgeon General role thinking he was going to go after like opioids or like all these different things. And after taking his time and researching what he put out a book called Togetherness, and because he thinks the biggest epidemic in America is loneliness. That resonates with me, and I want to make music that makes people feel less alone. Like there's no cooler thing to wake up and try to figure out how to do. And so I'll addend that, add to that, saying like step 1 of that for this record is saying like, behind my smile, if the happy guy can be depressed, maybe that will make me feel less alone, because it's true. Yeah.
But oh, I assure you as hell's not mine. Oh no, honey, I'm good.
That was Andy Grammer. Next week, summer issue of Relevant comes out. A little heads up, a little insider knowledge, a little inside tip. And you can read more from that conversation in our feature with him in the next digital issue. Be sure to check it out next week. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You're listening to Neil Francis and Saint Panther. The song is Head Straight. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. All right, it's time for your feedback. Last week, we were talking about like youth group games, I guess, like Chubby Bunny or whatever, and I just mentioned in passing that my youth group in the 90s was named Strike Force. And it just got us...
Force!
The violent, take it by force. It's a Carmen video, basically. Anyway, it got us thinking about terrible youth group names that we've all experienced. You hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast to tell us yours. Here's a few of our favorites.
Wow. Brandon's, there's a lot to unpack on this. That's
I see
from
it.
from a theological standpoint, from just a branding standpoint.
Yeah, say it.
It's his youth group. Well, this is what he claims it was THOB. And it's an acronym, THOB, for To Heaven or Bust. Now, no one's walking around with a THOB t-shirt. No one wants, no one's going to go to their buddy.
You want to go with me to THOB tonight?
Wednesday night THOB. No, the hardest of hard passes there. And isn't the whole idea is to bring heaven here, not go there? I don't want to unpack the theology here. From strictly a branding standpoint, there's just something very unsettling about the word THOB.
I'm going to THOB tonight. Yeah, that
it
doesn't
sounds
work.
like you're trying to say something else, but you have a lisp.
Sob.
Sob.
Throb.
I don't know what you're trying to say, but it's not thob.
Yeah. Anyway, there's more. We wanted to bring in our producer Jason because when we were about to start recording, he told us his. Hey, Jason, what was your youth group name?
Okay, so actually,
and you were a youth leader at this, or youth pastor at this.
So
youth
you
group.
could've
so this
changed
is your fault. Okay,
your fault.
yeah,
I'm judging you.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Because I've been a youth pastor of a few youth groups, and I've been a part of a lot. But I remembered 3, and all of them were acronyms. The one I mentioned before was, which I sent last week in the chat, and I think Derek said it was WOW, which stood for, that was the name of the group. And this was the one I was a youth pastor of, and we called it Warriors of Worship, which,
Warriors. See, Strike Force.
Warriors
what is
of
it?
Worship.
Very combative names.
Very. And who are you warring about for worship? Like Warriors of Worship. What is that? Like, who are you battling in your worship battle.
Praise is a weapon. You know what I'm saying? We have to.
This is why
the
Christians
altar.
are some of the most obnoxious people in the comment section online. It's because when they were in youth group, somebody convinced them they was some sort of warrior.
They were a warrior.
And now
we
they out
wrestle
here
not against
just,
Jason,
flesh and
it's your
blood. You know what
fault.
I'm saying? Hey, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. You know, we're principalities and powers, rulers of darkness and high
Something like a
places.
true youth pastor.
some
I
people
was
need
gonna
to
say-
wrestle with shutting up. That's what I want some of these people to
maybe
wrestle
the best
with.
approach isn't the most confrontational name you can think of for
Yeah,
a place that's supposed to foster
look
dynamic.
look at Ben Stroops. His youth group was named Teen Explosion. Like, why are we trying to make the teens explode?
Yeah, the exploding teenagers.
Wait, Daniels, look at this. He had two names, Blaze and SWAT, which stood for Spiritual Weapons and Tactics, which is what we're talking about. All
Again,
this
I think
violent
both were
imagery.
names of American gladiators at one time too, Blaze and SWAT. Like in the jousting competition, you're facing Blaze and SWAT. Sarah said her youth group didn't have a name, but our room was called the third place. The idea being the third place we feel safe after home and school. Sarah, I got bad news from you. I think your youth pastor stole that from Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, who came up with the idea of marketing the third place. But hey, at least he took credit for it.
Scott Nuss has my favorite. It's his Christian club was called Your Mom, yelling our unbelievably reviving message of mercy. I think he won. If I was going to join any of them, I'd probably join Your Mom. So shout out to that.
I'm going to your mom tonight. Leave my mother out of this.
I like Ryan's, which his youth group was the letter D, the letter V, and the number 8, pronounced as you expect, deviate. He said it was meant to encourage us to deviate from the ways of the world and follow Jesus. And then he says, mind you, we were all mostly raised in the church, so you might think to deviate would be to not follow their teachings.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think that the youth pastor just saw that on a license plate and be like, I wonder how I can make this work for a youth group because that sounds pretty cool. Like a vanity plate somewhere.
Justin Converse said Crossfire. What is it with the violent imagery?
My youth group was LIFE, which stood for Life is for Everyone. And I love when an acronym uses the
Has
word
the
in the
acronym,
acronym.
in it. Yeah, you can't. It's like you can't say the definition of the word by using the word. Like,
I genuinely loved my youth pastor. Really respect him. I will say creativity, not his strong suit.
Yeah.
He had a lot of other strengths.
So, Jason, in your experience as a youth pastor, former youth pastor, did you pick the name?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
honest.
Yeah.
No, you
I mean,
picked it. Like you said to the main
it
pastor,
wasn't like a
I
party
want to
of
name
one.
the youth group Wow. I want to name the youth group Wow. And then you had a big presentation with the acronym
Listen,
and all that stuff.
I went into this is hand to God. This is the God's honest truth. Okay. We were getting ready to paint the youth group room. And so I was going to make it so dramatic. I went into the room and I was like, we're renaming ourselves. I had black spray paint and I spray painted wow on the wall. And they were like, oh my gosh, yes. You know, they're so excited.
Attendance the next day exploded. It was a teen explosion in there.
It was a teen explosion. They went from 4 to 6.
Teens around
Teens.
town were going to be, you're not going to believe
I mean,
there's
I'm
a church
telling you.
with wow
Wow.
spray painted on the wall. You have to come and devote your life your life to the message.
They couldn't wait to get in the door. We ran out of pizza.
Did you put the periods in between the letters
Yeah,
in
you better
your
believe
graffiti?
it. I mean, God, come on, we're
Yeah, of
grammatically correct. And, you know, North Alabama, that's something that we really prided ourselves on there. We also had SALT, Student Action Leadership Team, which was the leaders within the youth group. And then I had a youth group named ACTS, Apostolic Christian Teen Society. So
Apostolic.
Wow.
I'm
Come
telling
on
you,
now.
we were. I'm
High
telling you.
church.
Oh yeah, yeah. We were really passionate about it.
Well, Jet had, for a while, he said his was Shine. Then a new youth pastor came along and changed it to Echo. Now, I will say Shine and Echo are all capitalized. So I'm assuming these are acronyms for some string of biblically sounding words. But Shine and Echo sounds like you had 2 pet dolphins. You know what I mean?
That's the name of your pet dolphins.
Actually fantastic.
A duo of trained pet dolphins.
And ladies
Shine
and gentlemen,
Echo.
let's hear it for Shine and Echo.
And they're like doing the beach ball off the nose, and go to flip or something. Shine and Echo with a backflip.
Oh,
Synchronized, synchronized dolphin pair performance.
Oh, did you see Stevens? He said Faith Corps was middle school, CORPS. So again, military, Faith Corps, and high schoolers was the Word Force. Word Force. Sounds like a grammar club or something.
It sounds like an app. It sounds like a Wordle
Force.
knockoff. Yeah.
I think it is an app.
Word Force. It does sound like a game. All right. Well, that was great. Y'all didn't disappoint. There's more where that came from if you want to check out the replies.
It was not great. We're not going to call this great.
What was yours? You never told us your youth group name, Derek.
We didn't have one.
It's just a youth group?
It was just, we going to church.
Gotcha.
Think about how
we
different
didn't-
your life would be if you had
If you went
a
to Strike
cool
Force.
youth group name.
I don't want to think about that. Like, if this is the standard, I don't want to think about that. Yeah, we just was
Mom,
like,
I
all
wanna
right,
go-
we got church on Wednesday.
Dude,
All right,
Derek's
bet.
like,
Pull up.
if my youth group was named one of these names, I would have deconstructed a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yes,
But
sir.
you didn't.
I would have disentangled
Come
from
on.
Crossfire. But
I'm out of here.
From your mom? That was a pretty good one.
that was
Your mom,
pretty
actually, your mom is fire. I ain't gonna even hold you. Your mom is it.
good. All right. Okay, it's time for this week's.
Editorial question of the week. Say.
All right. Well, we were talking about youth group names. It's summer break right now, so it got us thinking about youth group camp. I mean, most churches do this. My church does. They take all the high schoolers and middle schoolers away for a week to encounter Jesus and play really weird games. So we want to know your funniest, craziest summer youth camp stories. Hit us up on Twitter at Relevant Podcast, and we'll read our favorites on next week's show.
I'll never forget this one night where two youth groupers broke into the holding pen and freed Shine and Echo. Unfortunately, they were not equipped for life in the open sea and died almost immediately. It was a very big tragedy for Shine and Echo, but a wild story, everyone.
Did you guys have like teams? Like my youth group camp was always like the blue team, the yellow team, red team, and then you had like challenge points for the week and all that kind of stuff.
Again, a key strategy for most youth groups was pitting the students against each other.
Correct.
In a form of
And
competition.
physical challenges usually.
Yeah.
All right, well, hit us up. Tell us your funniest, most memorable summer youth camp stories. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank Andy Grammer for joining us today. Make sure to check out his new album, Love is the New Money, wherever you get your music. Also, a couple of updates before we sign off. I mentioned in passing, I shouldn't have, that next week the summer issue of Relevant's coming out, and we will tell you more about that on the next episode. But if you haven't signed up yet for Relevant Plus, it is the best way to experience our content, including a gorgeously designed, enhanced digital magazine. You also get ad-free unlimited viewing at relevantmagazine.com. You get an ad-free version of this podcast, an exclusive subscriber podcast each week as well. And plans start as low as just $250 a month. There you go. If you don't want ads, you want unlimited and a beautiful digital magazine experience, check out Relevant Plus. All the info is right there at relevantmagazine.com. Also, make sure to follow us on all the socials. We're posting every day on Twitter at Relevant, on Instagram, on Facebook, all of our content. You don't want to miss a thing. Or if you aren't a social media person, you can go over to our homepage and sign up for our daily newsletter where we send you our top 5 trending stories to your inbox each weekday morning. It's a great way to stay in the loop. Okay, on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
I'm Derek Miner.
We will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine, A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
And they're like, Johnny Echo with a backflip.
Relevant Podcast Network.